Good evening and welcome to the broadcast here on the Central Riverhawks YouTube channel. I'm Joel McCall. Alongside me is Nami George as well as Josh Buxton, if I turn his microphone up. And we are part of the Division II regional final game here tonight as the number 4 Central Riverhawks, it's boys action, taking on the Tomah Timberwolves. 19-5 are the Central Riverhawks coming in here tonight. 11-1, they went in the Mississippi Valley Conference. They're the co-champs along with Onalaska, who's playing tonight with another Mississippi Valley Conference matchup with Logan. On the other side, the Tomah Timberwolves 10-15, 5-7 in the conference. Their head coach is Jeff Brisky. On the other side, then Todd Fergott for the Riverhawks. We hope you enjoyed the interview we had with Coach Fergott earlier in the week, as well as the highlight video, and then Nami and I talking for way too long on the broadcast the other night after the highlight reel. And first of all, thank you for being a part of our broadcast, and thank you to Josh and Nami for being with us. I really appreciate you guys, and excited to have our boys action tonight.
Well, a really exciting time for all basketball fans. This is the best time of the year. If you're a basketball fan, best time of the year. And you know, I said on the broadcast or on the preview show that Central fans have become accustomed to the Riverhawks going deep in the playoffs. We're hoping we can have that happen again this year. It starts with a tough game, though.
Absolutely. Tomah at home, Tomah anywhere is a tough team. It's a tough game. They're physical. They can play a little bit. But that's a good test. You know, the Central boys haven't played now in, what, a week?
Right.
Something like that? Right. So to come back with a team that will challenge you and push you around and make you play the game better than a kind of a cream puff early, this was a good test. It's a good jumping off point for the Central boys.
Week and a day, in fact, is when they played Aquinas. For the Tomah Timberwolves, they advanced Tuesday in a solid 58-43 win over Hayward. Tom Hesse scored 19 points, Brady Pluger 12. Tomah has really played a lot better late in the season. Timberwolves have won 4 of the last 6, with one of those losses to Onalaska. Tomah defeated Logan by 1 and then completed a season sweep of Aquinas as well. If you want to talk about stunners in the Mississippi Valley Conference, that's one to circle. It's something that we actually talked about on our broadcast a couple of times. As far as the Timberwolves against Central, the first game was a total mismatch, 38-point win by Central. However, the Riverhawks had a more challenging time handling Tomah the second time, and it happened in this gym, 53-39. Now, I mean, we did that game. Timberwolves did a good job limiting transition opportunities and slowed the game down. If Tomah wants to stay in tonight's contest, that should be the game plan.
Well, and you know, you hear, it's kind of a cliche, but you hear all the time it's hard to beat a team 3 times. That's what the task is for the Riverhawks tonight, to try and beat a team 3 times. The Tomah coaching staff is a very good coaching staff. You can bet that they learned from that first game. You saw it reflected in the score, that it was a little bit closer, and you can bet that they now have learned from the first and the second game. And this is not going to be an easy matchup. Riverhawks are going to have to play well in order to come out with a W tonight.
Hesse was the team's most consistent threat versus Central, scoring 16 and 13. He grabbed 5 boards in each. Thornton actually topped the scoring here with 17. Pluger has struggled against the Riverhawks guards. That'll need to change, obviously, and I know I was impressed with the way Hesse played here. Defensively, Tomah throws a few things at you that most teams don't, specifically a 1-3-1 and a 1-2-2. Mr. Buxton, you're a coach, Buxton, I should say. I'm a huge fan of the 1-3-1, but boy, teams can't run it effectively most of the time.
I hate zone defenses. I'll just get that out there right now. You know, as someone who's coached in the past and coached in our youth league, when we see zone defenses, it's eye-opening because, you know, once you score 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row, you're forcing a team to play man-to-man. And the 1-3-1, if you run it right, is, you know, it is effective. It's a little gimmicky for my taste, but, you know, in order for Tomah to be effective, they've got to get hands out. They've got to get hands in the passing lane. They've got to tip some basketballs. See if they can't get a few cheap steals and get down the floor a little bit. But, you know, Central, to their credit, their coaching staff has these guys prepared. You know, I don't know if there's anything that Tomah's going to throw at us that we'll be real confused by. They'll be prepared for it.
Gimmicks. I love gimmicks. That's why I like the 1-3-1. What is the halftime score is my question of the night for Tomah. If Central's offense is rolling and this is a high score affair, I do think Tomah's in trouble. Hesse leads them at 14 points per game. Kleifchen at 11. On the other side for the Riverhawks, Central capped off the regular season, winning their 10th straight, 62-54 over Aquinas. The Riverhawks trailed by 1.5. just like they did the game at the Blue Golds. And in similar fashion, a second half run was enough to get the W. I actually thought that was the exact kind of game this team needed entering the postseason. Nothing was easy. The boys grinded. I thought that was excellent for them to finish out the regular season without not being a blowout, Nami.
Yeah, absolutely. Aquinas came in and gave Riverhawks everything they had, made the Riverhawks work for that victory for sure. You know, you look at this Riverhawk team, they finished the season with some really tough games. That's only going to strengthen them as they get ready now to make this playoff run.
Bennett Freed was a real catalyst, 21 points, showing off his variety of skills. And when I went back to start digging into highlights for that highlight reel, I'll be honest, I didn't remember a lot of Freed. We said it in the girls' broadcast. We take for granted Miss Levicek. I think I really did the same thing with Bennett Freed. He's been steady Eddie on the defensive end, and his offense seems to be firing at the right time. Freed went off for 20 on Tomah the last time, 17 in the first appearance. We could be seeing another stellar performance tonight by Bennett Freed.
Well, and he's such a matchup problem for any team. You know, being 6 foot, 6'6". You know, Tomah's biggest guy is Brisky, I think at about 6'5".
Right.
But Brisky's more of a physical inside player. So if you're forcing him out to the three-point line to try and guard Bennett, you run into some troubles because Bennett can get past just about anybody.
I agree.
And
Totally agree.
one of the things about Bennett, too, that we overlook and kind of take for granted, watch him tonight on the defensive end. Just watch him play defense. I was going back and watching some of the games. He gets after it on the defensive end. One of the things we don't talk about very much on the broadcast, but something he brings to this Riverhawk team.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that. And again, I just felt like, boy, did I miss something? Well, again, I had 2 other highlights, but my software didn't work. And 2 of them were Freed, so I'm sorry about that. With also being in all likelihood, the final Central home game, I expect the senior group as a whole to play with tremendous fire. Central needs to kind of leave no doubt. I would actually like to see them get really fired up and put a run together early as opposed to what we've seen second half runs, Nami. But the first half run, if they could put that together and kind of push Tomah away early, I think that's a key.
Yeah, for sure. When you're playing a team that you've beaten twice, one of the keys is coming out early and trying to assert your will right away. There's a chance that the other team will say, oh, geez, here we go again, kind of hang their heads, and that's when you can coast to a victory. You let a team like this hang around. If we get to the 6-minute mark and go in the game, 5-minute mark, and it's a 2-point game either way, look out. You better fasten your seatbelts because it's going to be a dangerous game. Got to come out and establish your presence early.
Somehow Nami did read my notes, even though I didn't share it with him. I do feel like we've done, and I know, Josh, you weren't on every broadcast with us because we didn't have the third headset until late. But I feel like we've highlighted a lot of the role players. I felt like we did that again at the highlight reel. But tonight, I feel like this is a big 3 night.
It's got to be the superstar time. You know, with the caliber of players that Central has, with Nick Williams and Bennett, you have to step up. You know, those guys who, you know, have the targets on their backs because they are the best players. This is the time to show it. You know, it's one thing to be good against, you know, the bottom feeders of the conference, but when playoff time rolls around, everybody's eyes are on you and how you're going to perform, and that's the difference between, you know, winning a regional title and that's it, or getting to the state tournament, have a chance at the championship.
Well, and we've seen the big 3, but it's been like Meyer going off for 22, and then Freed will have like 10, and Williams has 18. I'd like to see all 3 of them hit about 20 points tonight, have some nice balance, and gear up for that playoff run that you were talking about earlier, Nami.
Yeah, I mean, it's all hands on deck right now. It's win or go home. So, yeah, absolutely. As Mr. Buxton said, it's time for the stars to shine.
Well, then the other games that are happening in this section then for Division 2, number 1 seed Medford hosts number 8 Menominee. Number 5 Rice Lake is at number 4 River Falls. The 6th seed Tomah is right here at Central as we're calling it. And then the number 7 seed Logan is at number 2 on Alaska. I'll put you guys on the spot right now. You're the Central homers. I try to be a partial broadcaster with a wink and a nudge on that. Any upsets you see in this bracket? Obviously, all 3 of us are not talking about an upset tonight on this particular court.
Mr. Buxton, you going to call Logan over on Alaska tonight? You want to go out on that limb?
There are very few times in my life as a 16-year Central employee where I've rooted for Logan. Tonight's one of those times. You know, I think that Logan's going to have a hard night. You know, they're going to have to come out. They're going to have to shoot about 80% across the board.
Yes.
3-pointers, 2s, free throws to give themselves a chance. And, you know, they're going to work hard. I guarantee it. but Anna's tough. Anna might be a little too much for him tonight.
How about the number? I don't know much about Medford. I know the boys went up there and played them. And Menominee we saw, I believe, here in this gym. So we were able to see Menominee, were we not? Yeah, back on January 10th. That was 76-44. But maybe the number 1 seed. You never know. There were so many upsets of the girls. The girls section, for one, Division II was wide open. You had Tomah reach all the way to the very end.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go out on a limb and call any upsets. Would I be surprised if any happen? Of course not. We always see that this time of year at every level. We'll see that in the NCAAs too.
Right.
It can happen, but I'm not going to go out on a limb and predict anything tonight.
I think tonight's Medford game will be tight. You know, Medford's number 1 seed, but Menominee is scrappy. They do things the right way. So I think that game might be closer than some people think.
That's what I was thinking too. I thought maybe it'd be a tight game, not necessarily a full-on blowout. The bottom half of the bracket is the number 1 seed Fox Valley Lutheran versus the number 8 Rhinelander. Lakeland, number 5, is at number 4 New London. Nami, help me out again. Merrill, the 6th seed, is at Mosinee. That's the 3 seed, and then Wausau East is the 7th seed, and they travel to Schwano. You guys, whatever. Number 2 seed, Schwano.
How about this one, Joel? Rhinelander, you just mentioned them. Do you know their school mascot?
Which? Oh, Rhinelander. No, I do not. Is it Rhinos?
No, they're not the Rhinos.
Well, that would be.
Mr. Buxton?
He's not plugged in anymore.
He's not plugged in. Good. It is the Hodags.
Hodags.
The
okay.
Rhinelander Hodags.
And then the other games that are happening that I want to make mention was Aquinas is at Bangor, and then Hortville is hosting Holman, and West Salem's also at home.
WIAA Regional Final featuring the visiting Tomah Timberwolves and your La Crosse Central Riverhawks. The WIAA promotes good sportsmanship by student athletes, coaches, and spectators. We request your cooperation by supporting the participants and officials in a positive manner. We hope you enjoyed tonight's game. At this time, if you please rise and join in the singing of our national anthem and the Central Pep Band. And now let's meet tonight's starting lineups. First, for the visiting Timberwolves from Tomah, a senior number 3, Brady Pluger. Junior number 5, Tyler Kleifkin. Senior number 22, Brian Thornton. Senior number 30, Tom Hesse. And a junior number 40, Jaden Brisky. Tomah's coached by Jeff Brisky. And now for your La Crosse Central Riverhawks. Starting at a guard, 6-foot senior number 3, Boston Brindley. And a guard, 6'2" senior number 5, the Pearl, Nick Williams. In the middle, 6'7" senior number 12, Bennett Freed. At a forward, 6'3" junior number 22, Henry Meyer. And at a forward, 6'3" senior number 23, Tyler Young. Central is coached by Todd Fergut.
Oh, not going to do the officials tonight.
Well, good thing I got the officials in.
We cut him off before he was. Where'd you write that down?
I got it, Art. I got it
Okay.
in my head. I don't even need it. The officials tonight are Ben Leibel, Charlie Ely, and Paul Laxton. three really good, solid officials, so officiating will not be an issue tonight.
Keys tonight for the Riverhawks: don't settle for threes, post touches, and limit turnovers. Had 10 plus last time versus Tomah. Defensively, match their physicality, rebound, stop penetration, and contest shooters. Thank you, Coach Ferget, for your keys tonight. Freed wins the tip, goes to Young, then to Williams, and off we go. Well, I don't even need to look at the roster when it comes to the Riverhawks now after we've seen them so many times.
You're becoming a Centralite.
Is that what you guys want to call each other? I'd rather be called a Riverhawk. How about that? Williams over the far side, Freed on the baseline. Got caught out to Meyer where he hit those 6 threes, 5 of them in that same spot. Freed trying to get all the way in, drops it off. Tough pass, but got to Henry Meyer for 2.
Great play by Freed. Great play by Freed. And they're attacking inside. He wants to get Brisky fouls early. So he's going right at him. I like it.
Yep, talking about Jaden Brisky, that junior forward for Tomah. I like their black and gold jerseys. On the outside, it's Thornton. He's the one that led them in scoring the last time. Dana says we sound great. That's because we had to hear from Buxton just a little bit ago. That's why it's good. Pluger thought about a head fake and didn't really free him up over the far side. Thornton. Thank you, Josh, for setting us all up for success as Brindley comes in, swipes that away from Brisky. And a steal for Central, leading 2-0. Meyer over the far side.
A little playoff intensity on defense for the Riverhawks here. Could tell just a little more hop in their step.
Williams thought about that wing three. Freed on the baseline, left it short. Grabbed out of there by Thornton, and Tomah brings it across the timeline with Pluger. The senior guard at 5'6", having to deal with Boston Brindley. I think I'd rather have a root canal. Hesse tried to push off with Freed, get inside. He's cut off. Pluger back off to the quarter court. Williams guarding the other senior, that's Thornton. Quite a few seniors actually for Tomah's group. We'll probably run through them a time or two tonight. Hesse over the far side. He's another one, gets all the way inside, and layup's good.
A little bit of a gamble there on defense, and when you go in the passing lane, if you don't get a deflection or a steal, you're going to open up a lane to the basket, and that's what happened there.
Young to the far side at a 2-2 tie. Back to Young. Tyler Young for a wing three, short. Williams there on a rebound. Had it batted away at first, but regathers himself and dribbles it out. Second chance opportunity for the Riverhawks, and Pluger steps in front of that pass over the far side to Young, out of bounds, and Central reset way at the corner over by Nami's dad, in fact, who's probably on camera as well. Meyer.
Ray likes his screen time. We know that.
Hey, he helped us out. He was behind the camera at one time this year. Twice now, I think, right?
Yeah, he's got that skill. He can help us out, whatever.
Williams backs it off as a 5 out right now for Central. Meyer open. 3! Mendes for Henry Meyer. Yes, all 5.
And that's his spot right there. We saw it on the highlight reel that you produced earlier this week. He does not miss from that spot. I watched him in warm-ups, too. Hit about 5 in a row right from that spot.
Nice.
And that offensive possession, Joel, is exactly the reason I don't like zone defense. You get that pass moving fast enough. As a coach, I love it. You pass fast enough. They have a hard time covering every spot. Recovering quickly. You're going to get wide open looks all day long, and this team can knock those down.
That's true. Brisky had misfired down below in the low block. Meyer, baseline, back out. Williams, cross-court pass. Dude, three-pointer. Yes, sir! Nick Williams for 3. Finally, the Riverhawks can connect early because that I felt bad I wasn't here for those Nick Williams 6 3-pointers against Caledonia.
Well, hopefully he can replicate it for you so you can see it again.
Yes. 8-2 the score. Pluger near side to Clygen. And he's too strong. Thornton tried to save it. And Meyer comes out with it over to the way far side. Bennett Freed bumped on the attack.
Bennett with such long legs, his strides are so long as he's going to the basket. I'm just thinking, if you're trying to be a defender, it's got to be so hard one-on-one trying to stop him on a break.
Meyer, far side.
Defender did what I would have done and just fouled him.
Stripmatter has come in. Freed can't really back down from, 20 feet from the hoop, though. Brisky did a nice job.
Not on Brisky. He's a big kid.
He is a big kid. Freed, top the key, going to take. Oh, the long distance shots are working tonight so far for the Central Riverhawks. 3 of 4 from deep. That's tipped out of bounds.
And we talked about the stars shining. Here we are, the first 5 minutes of the game. What's happened? We've had a Boston Brindley steal. We've had a Henry Meyer 3, a Nick Williams 3, and a Bennett Freed 3. The stars are shining early.
No, it's like they were listening to our warm-up show. Baseline dribble for Hesse, and then Williams throws it off Thornton. What a weird crowd tonight, because it's so awkward to not see the parents directly below us, as now they're all the way across the way.
WIAA regulations dictate where kids can sit and where parents have to sit, and yeah, it leads them to empty stands if kids aren't coming down.
Do you think we could get the wave going on over at the central side? Like, not the actual wave. Maybe they just waved to us. Brindley to this near side as Frankie Wilk has also subbed in. Meyer over on that far side. Whipped around, that's the 4 out. Wilk is in for Freed. I mentioned Stripmotter's already in too. No one-on-one dribbling.
Nope.
Looks like man-to-man defense.
Yep, Tomah's in that zone for what, 4 possessions?
Yep.
Scored every time. Got to get out of it.
Meyer drives all the way inside, finds the baseline. He scores. He's up to 7. 13-2 our score. 12 minutes, 50 seconds. Clock moves first half. Now it's the regional final. Winner would play tomorrow night against the winner of Onalaska and Logan.
Does it seem like Henry has a little more energy tonight, too, a little more pep in his step? Maybe that week off was good for everybody. Give everybody a chance to heal and get their legs underneath them.
Yes.
The boys had a couple uncharacteristic days off last week, so Fergut must know that we need a little bit of a break.
Kleifkin with a deep three-pointer, but it's off. Central coming all the way down. Williams had it knocked away from him at first. Trying to get it back. It's off of Williams. And so Central leads 13-2 early on here in the first half. Let's see. Freed come back in for Meyer. You guys also had no school today, too, so the boys could be a little bit off their routine, but instead they come out with a house of fire.
Always hated playing on days with no school, get everybody out of their routine.
Hesse to the corner to Thornton. Back out. Kleifkin. Kluger backs up. Hesse, baseline dribble. Cut off again. They're really shutting off the water for Tom Hesse on those dribble drives. Kluger does it again. Kick to the corner to Hesse. That pass was a little low, too. Couldn't quite grab it cleanly. And Wilk has positioning on Thornton, and the Thornton is called for over the back. Second foul. I missed the first foul. I believe that went on Kluger. And so that's the second foul on Tomah. No fouls on Central. You can see that with our great score bug that Josh Buxton has put together for us. Do you have timeouts on that too? No.
I do not have timeouts. It's an option, but I don't want to get too fancy.
No, that's fine. I
Keep
wasn't sure all the stuff that you were able to put on that.
Maybe next year as we look for improvements.
Stripmotter deep 2. Freed tried to poke it back to himself. Couldn't. Stripmotter had his foot on the line. Hesse, baseline dribble, and an offensive foul. Freed taking a charge. And Hesse with now the third foul on Tomah. I'm sure we'll get updates from the Onalaska game throughout the night as well, because I'm sure you're wondering about that.
Go Rangers? Is that what
well,
we're
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I'm just saying so we get another
we
home
can cheer
game.
for a city school.
Yeah, it's a city school.
That's true.
Yep.
Some of their coaches are fellow employees like we are.
That's true.
Well, I'm not going to argue with that. Williams tripped off to Thornton. Kick to the corner. Kleifkin. No good. Rebound. Boy, Hesse and Thornton hit it at the same time. Freed down low. Got a head fake of Hesse. And then on the floor, Coach Brisky over on the other side does not like that because he's saying, well, Hesse stayed straight up, but he also made contact too.
I think he jumped on the head fake or at least moved his body on the head fake, and Bennett did a good job of drawing the contact then.
We got an early score update from Onalaska. 11:53 left in the first half. Anna's up 14-10 on Logan.
14-10. Wilk misses the wing three-pointer. Tomah clears. Thornton, baseline drive. Kluger whips that ball around. Everybody's touched it, but Brock decided not to shoot. Actually had a good look. Hesse's got to be careful driving inside like that. And wow, Brock thought he knocked it out of bounds, but they say it's off of Wilkinstead.
If you're the Tomah coaching staff, you want to talk to your guys, you don't want to pass up any open shots against this Riverhawk defense. You might not see very many of them.
I thought he was open in the corner.
Yeah.
You know, for Brock, he should have taken that. There's another senior at 6'4". Oh, and Tyler Young fell down, and Hesse scores. He's 2 for 3 with both buckets so far for Tomah. 13-4 Central, 10-minute mark, first half. Regional final, playoff time. March Madness coming up too. Tournament starting in the women's. Freed misses the top of the key three-pointer, but the ball bats around and Brindley ends up with it. So Central with the second chance. Young who missed from that far side earlier. Thornton all over him, so no shot attempt.
A little surprised they're not trying to get Bennett inside right now. He's got a little bit of a height advantage over his defender. I'd get him down in the post with a little screen for him down there.
And his defender has 2 fouls.
Let him work, yeah.
Right.
I think they're waiting to sub him out, but
Freed, spin move, little push shot.
there you go.
You guys asked for it, and Bennett Freed provides it, averaging 16 points per game. Williams at 17, 16 for Meyer. 15-4.
If you're Coach Fergut here, you want the ball to stay in play so they can't make that sub so you can keep on attacking that.
Right. If you're Central, don't foul, don't foul. Pluger.
Surprised Tomah's not taking a timeout to get that substitution in. That would be a huge point in this game if he picks up his third this early.
Yeah. Thornton nearly lost it. Stripminer trying to poke it away. Well, it's going to get out of bounds anyway, so the substitutions will come, but it is staying with Tomah. And there does Hesse step out, and they bring back Jaden Brisky. And actually, Tomah's going to take a full timeout, 15-4, 9:01 to play here in the first half. Central leading. I went back and looked at the archives between these two teams as well. Third meeting, obviously, tonight, that regional final. Central won both in the regular season, and this exact matchup actually took place last year as well, with Central advancing. So last year, 3-0 for Central. COVID season, 2-0. 2019-20, just 2-0. So that's been the last 2 years for these two teams to meet up in the postseason. I mentioned I wanted to go back real quickly to the other playoff games, not the Division II Section 1 that we covered earlier, but I really want to mention that Aquinas was at Bangor, and then Holman at Hortonville, and West Salem, the D3 #1 seed right up the road from us, is hosting Adams Friendship.
West Salem team is very, very talented. Had the opportunity to see a really good game between Central at West Salem early in the season. I know a lot of our fans were there as well. What a ball game that was. Some very, very talented basketball players.
And we've bragged about Division II and how good Central and Onalaska are. West Salem beat them both.
West Salem is I think head and shoulders above most of the competition they're going to have. They are fantastic. They play the game so well, so smart, so physical. They're such good shooters. It's you hate to see Central lose a game, but when you're going to lose to a team, it should be someone like West Salem.
Right, it's a special team. Well, much like that Juliet West that we were talking about at the 608 tournament. There's another special team in Illinois. Pluger over to the far side to Thornton after the full timeout by Tomah. Down 15-4. They played nearly 10 minutes. Noah Dingle inside now.
Defense is just relentless right now for the Riverhawks.
Pluger on this near side. Thornton. I wouldn't call it a push, but Freed made him sure that Thornton had to back up, and he does, and cans his first shot of the night.
Refs are letting him play a little bit. Brisky and Dingle were getting tight down low. They weren't calling anything. There's a couple hooks and holds and a couple pushes. And they're going to let him play that. That's certainly an advantage for Central.
Which is how playoff basketball should be.
Meyer, 3! Mendes for Henry Meyer. 2 for 2 from deep. He's already to double figures at 10.
Such a good shooter. Gosh, it's fun to watch him.
Well, Freed had the touch, and then off of Thornton. Tomah fans really wanted to foul on Williams, and instead, Tomah fans not happy because Brisky just got teed up.
So that was just unfortunate for Coach Brisky because the official that made that call happened to be the one running right in front of him to go down to the other end of the court. And so he was already mad and upset. He said something apparently that the official did not like. just a bad sequence of events there for the Tomah coach. Just happened to have the guy that made the call that he didn't agree with running right in front of him at that moment.
Right, Coach Brisky now talking to a different official to try and get clarification on why there wasn't a foul. Honestly, there was some contact over there, but there was also a 50-50 ball because the ball was tipped. And Williams scores both.
And
at the free throw
he
line.
was out of the coach's box and did get in the official's face.
Right.
The technical was earned. I'm not saying that wasn't earned. It was just unfortunate that that's how that all unfolded.
Then you put the 85% free throw shooter Nick Williams with nobody around him. That's like just open gym. Freed, top of the key three-pointer. Man, oh man. A second one from Freed. I really thought his three-point shooting started heating up about the last 2 weeks of the season. He had gone cold from deep for quite a while. Thornton.
Yeah, if he starts shooting like that from three, this team is going to be really hard to beat.
Nick Williams jumping the pass from Brisky to Thornton.
Well, we talked in pregame about the importance of coming out early and starting to run early. 23-6 here, 10 minutes into the game. That's exactly what the doctor ordered for the Riverhawks.
Yes. Spin move by Hesse. That's a foul on Nick Williams reaching into the cookie jar. His first. Better not put that on the wrong line.
It's a little bit of a sarcastic clap coming from the Tomah faithful.
Well, that was
Probably
the first
deserved.
foul. Right, that's the first foul at Central in the ball game. Tomah has 5.
I'm not going to fault him for that. I've been there.
7:25 left here in the first half. Pluger just dribbling back with his right hand. Brindley has shut down those dribble drives, and a blocking foul called as Freed was trying to get Hesse with his third. How about my boy Dingle out there?
I see that.
Yeah,
I see that.
He was my unsung hero in our little talk that we had.
He's been given really good minutes lately.
And that time, though, Brisky works around him.
Brisky's going to be a tough matchup for him. Brisky's so big and physical. Noah's going to have to really battle in the post.
Brindley attacking. And then the foul called by Pluger, his second, too. So you got 2 on Pluger and 2 on Hesse. 7:01 to play in the first half. Tomah, 2 key stars they've had this season in some foul trouble. And that's a 6th on Tomah, so 1 more and the bonus comes. Freed will have to use his speed to get around Brisky. And nearly a technical foul on Brisky as looking over at Freed and then kind of shoved his hand away. Not sure what that was all about. A little chippy in the playoffs. That's okay. I'm
Not
okay
wrong.
with that.
Just keep playing.
Right?
Play hard. That's all you ask.
Brindley directs traffic. Brindley and Freed had cut. And both cut at the same time. Cut down the lane. Williams, far side. Back to this side with Freed. Brindley, Meyer. Trying to get to the baseline. Does. Soft touch by Henry Meyer. And right back over. And Freed makes a huge block on the Hesse sort of dunk layup. Not sure exactly what he was gunning for. Either way, he got a late lunch, or late supper, I should say, and a big block on the other side by Thornton. Back out to Brindley. Stops at the free throw line. Try to pass it off. Brisky shuts that down. And the Tomah faithful that's in front of us, the student section, gives a nice clack by the defensive effort that their boys are giving.
Tomah did a good job there in transition. That was a quick transition. They got back. Central was looking to attack, and they were able to defend.
Oh, and Henry Meyer.
Cannot defend that, though.
No.
He is such an offensive threat.
You think he's locked and loaded? 6 for 6 from the field is Henry Meyer, and it's a 20-point lead for Central, 28-8.
Henry has worked so hard to own his craft. I've seen him in the gym. Watched him play for a long time.
Pluger, step back three-pointer, and foul on Brisky as Dingle had positioning.
Henry has earned all of the accolades that he's going to get. So proud of that kid.
The officials discussing things because that's a loose ball foul. We go from one end all the way to the other for a couple of free throws coming. Actually, I thought it was Dingle that got fouled. Somehow it's Brindley going to the free throw line. Kelsey Nardine checking in. See,
I think Charlie saw it too. Yep.
I think that's the right call.
Yeah.
I think Dingle should be at the free throw line, not Brindley.
I like the idea from Brindley, though. Go there and get your 2 free points, assuming you're going to make your free throws.
Brindley on the year 12 of 20.
Oh, he's going to shoot them anyway. There you go.
Oh.
Central has 6 people out there right now.
Dingle was 8 for 14 from the free throw line. But see, even Coach Fergut's saying, no. This should be Nami, stay here. Don't go out on the court. You don't have a jersey on. We don't need another Riverhawk on the court.
You know, I'd make my free throws.
Granny style? Dingle does go to the free throw line then. The officials, that was the right call. Brisky is the one that.
Yeah.
Dingle had positioning down on the low block for the rebound. First one, good. So can I take credit for Dingle playing well then? Is that?
I think you should.
Is that allowed, Buxton?
Well, I think as the charter member of his fan club, you should. Absolutely.
I'll get it started real fast. Well, it'll be a Twitter page because I don't do Facebook. Second one's through as well. 2 for 2 for Noah Dingle. And Krause Nardine checks in. Hey, everybody deserves some flowers here and there.
That's right. And he really does. I mean, we've seen him more and more as the season's gone on, getting more and more minutes and providing good quality minutes. Offensive rebounds, playing good defense. He's earned his minutes.
Owen Gerke is subbed in for the first time, number 4 for Tomah. Hadn't seen him yet. Pluger on the wing. At this time, it's Stripmotter guarding him because Brindley had subbed out. Frankie Wilk also had checked in. There's Gerke with the basketball, as you see on your screen. Pluger has it back. Couple of nice crossovers. He's got a great handle and flying in. Oh, and just missing the shot. That was Brock. But Pluger does have some nice handles. He's had I know he missed that step back, but he's been open. Williams backs up. Stripmotter, baseline, step back, deep 2. Off the mark, good box out by Hesse. And over to Gerke. Stripmotter 0 for 2, hasn't scored quite yet. 30-8 our score. Central leading, 4 minutes. And a little bit of change left here before halftime. You know what you get to hear at halftime? More of us. Hesse.
There better be a meatloaf recipe in here sometime.
Nope, I haven't made that for a while, so Hesse had missed his shot. We're playoff time now, Buxton. I don't know if I can get into meatloaf recipes.
Okay.
I got my tie on. I'm trying to be as professional as possible. Nice steal by Gerke away from Wilk. Tries to look ahead, gets it off to Hesse. Jump stop in the lane and scores.
Hesse's a very talented basketball player.
He is.
He's got some nice moves.
And you know, he's played smart. He's had 2 fouls for what, about 8 minutes of play time, and he hasn't picked up his third.
The next 25 left in this half are incredibly important for Central. You don't want to give up 2, 3, 4 buckets in a row. You don't want to go to halftime with an 11, 12-point lead. You want to go with 20-plus. These guys got to keep pressing. It's been good to get some of the starters off the floor, get some breath, but you've got to keep attacking. Got to keep attacking.
Williams
here.
does that. Pad the stats. No, he missed them both. Nick Williams struggling tonight. He's 1 for 6 thus far. Gerke, corner. Wilk. Nice job by Frankie Wilk. Good defense. Inside. I don't think that's where you want Brock either. If you're Tomah, you don't want Brock standing out on the perimeter trying to drive in on Williams. The handle's just not quite there for Brock. He's got to be down low for Tomah to have some success. It looks like Thornton checking back in for Tomah. And for Central, they've got Young, Freed, and Brindley all subbing in for Meyer, Wilk, and Williams. Thornton going to have to go to Pluger, who's at 3/4 court.
Didn't even get that on the camera. That was a long throw pass back.
That's because you were dinking.
I was drinking, yep.
Yeah. No, I said dinking, not drinking.
I was drinking, wetting my whistle.
Soda for those at home. Soda.
Actually, I thought it was water.
It was. Thank you, Joel.
Water? Okay.
Thank you, Joel.
I always thought you were allergic to water, Nami.
We are going to move into Now it's liquid talk. Tom Hesse gets inside, and an old-fashioned and one opportunity for Tom Hesse.
Nice move to the basket, finishing through the contact.
Tyler Young's first. That is the team's fourth. Which, yeah. And one miss, though, by Hesse. Rebound freed for Central, leading by 18, 30-12. Look at that, I did math all by myself. My shoe stayed on, too. Strittmatter all the way, drives inside and scores. Nice job by Peyton Strittmatter, who's missed a couple of deep shots. They're all twos so far, but this time scores on the run.
Great first step to the basket. Beat his defender on the first step.
Wonder if he kind of lulled him.
I think so.
You know, thinking that he'll take another deep shot. What a nice move by Hesse. Get inside and a reverse layup over Freed.
Seems like it's the Riverhawks versus Hesse right now.
Right. Freed tried to attack, but gave it off. Strittmatter, baseline, step back. Had to give it away. Krause Nerdine, who Nami absolutely loves.
Absolutely.
Makes no bones about that.
Yep. Oh. Even had a halftime interview. You see that, Joel?
I saw that up at Menominee.
Yep.
Thank you again for doing the playoff game, as I just was not going to step away for a third night in a row. Couldn't do it.
Sometimes you got to save your marriage.
Yep, that's right. Freed attacked. Looks like Gerke called for the foul.
See, when you've been married as long as I have, your wife encourages you to go to those things. Get out of the house. Get away from
Well,
her,
yeah, but
get
I
rid of that.
understand that. You know, my wife loves me and wants me to stay at home. And for your wife, I can sympathize.
She says, please go.
Buxton, anything to add?
I think you are both spot on.
That my wife does love me and wants me home?
I'm not going to say anything more.
And that my wife doesn't.
I'm staying out of
I
your
think that's a good call by you.
Yep.
33-14 as Freed's at the free throw line. He scores on the first. Freed shooting 58% at the free throw line on the year. Shot a bunch of them. He's shot 85 coming in from the regular season. Tyler Young with an offensive rebound. Whips it over to Williams. Three! Mendes for Williams.
That's a killer. That is a killer.
Coming off of a missed free throw, offensive rebound, and 4-point sequence there for the Riverhawks.
Good to see Nick get one to fall, too.
Yes. He's hit 2 for 2 from deep.
That's true.
That's his two-pointers he can't hit.
Yeah, that's true.
Missed shot there. Hesse right back down low. Brisky on the curl. Little half hook. That doesn't fall. And I guarantee you the Central Riverhawks will hold for the final shot with only 25 seconds in the clock move.
Take at least a 22-point lead into the half. I'd be okay with that.
Right, 36-14. Get it to Williams, the sure hands, and 10 seconds. Puts the handles down in front of Kleifchen. Nowhere to go, just hoists one up, and Williams misses the three-pointer. Not really the possession you want for the Central Riverhawks, but got the shot off. It just was off the mark. 36-14, our halftime scores. The Central Riverhawks lead here over Tomah in this regional final. As again, the other games that are happening in this Division II Section 1, winner of this plays either Logan or Onalaska. I bet Buxton will give us an update on that soon. And then the other side of this is Medford hosting Menominee, and River Falls welcoming Rice Lake.
Yeah, you know, that first half we talked about pregame, the stars got to shine. I think we saw a little bit from all four of our stars with Brindley too. And then we got contributions from guys off the bench too, with Peyton getting a nice drive to the basket. Noah Dingle came in and gave some good minutes, and you know that's going to be the key for this team. What makes this team so hard to defend is, you know, if Nick Williams is shooting 1 for 6 or whatever he was, there's other guys that can step in, and you saw Henry Meyer step in, and you see Bennett Freed step in. So even if one of those guys is having a rough night, somebody else can step up, and that's what makes this team so good.
Buxton?
He nailed it. I mean, you know, what I would like to see in the second half, to start off, that was just about the most perfect first half you could have for Central.
Really?
Jumping out early, getting all over them. That's very deflating. Nami and I have been there on the coaching end of that one, to kind of get punched in the mouth and not knowing what to do from there.
Yep.
And it allows you to, like I said earlier, rest some of those guys. You know, it's going to be a grind. You know, you never say you're going to look ahead to what's coming.
Right.
We probably know what's coming tomorrow night, although it's only 30-24 on Alaska with 3.5 minutes left in the first half. So Logan's hanging around.
Yeah, Logan's hanging around.
But you want to have those guys fresh. You know, I'm sure the starting five will play, you know, probably a good 14 minutes in the second half, maybe 15. But they're going to get a little bit of rest. But, you know, after not playing for a week, let them work hard, give them a few minutes to get a breather, get them back in the game. I would like to see like a Peyton Strittmatter. I would like to see Tyler Young start putting a couple buckets in. You need those bench players, those, you know, 4th and 5th starters to score, especially moving forward.
You know what will be really interesting is if Onalaska does end up in a tight game, and who knows what will happen in the second half, but if they end up in a tight game, what's the energy level going to be like for both teams? Because Central, in theory here, is going to be able to hopefully coast a 22-point lead at the half, you would hope. Going to be able to coast. If Onalaska's in a tight game, they're going to expend a lot of energy. That'll be interesting tomorrow night, playing back-to-back nights.
Those starters are going to play 33, 34 minutes up in Onalaska. And it's a tight game. It's 32-24 right now. Logan's kind of hanging around still. But, you know, we are definitely at the advantage right now with the position we're in, with the score, with the ability to, like you said, rest a few guys here and there. You know, they're still going to press. You know, Coach Fergut's not going to sit guys just for the sake of sitting them and holding them. You know, he's going to want them in the game to continue working on whatever they need to work on. But, you know, you will see a few more guys. I'd like to see Omario get some more minutes.
Yes.
I'd like to see, you know, some of these other guys get more minutes. You know, pop into Brendan Cahill for a few minutes. Give somebody else a little bit of rest. Yeah.
Antoine Hardy.
See
He's another
Antoine
one.
get in the game.
And get them some gameplay because you don't know when you're going to need them. You know,
Right.
you're a couple injuries away or a couple bad nights away from needing them. So.
That's the one thing I didn't write on my game notes was injuries.
Oh,
I did
my
not
bad.
want to put that
Okay,
on.
my bad.
There's a hex.
Let's erase that
Thanks,
comment.
Nami. Good call.
Because I wrote down I'd like to see Central hit cruise control with about 6 to 7 minutes left in the second half and stay out of a somewhat tight game. You guys are hitting on that, but that was the reasoning for that, but I didn't want to actually say the reasoning for it.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing we're not live. We can just go back and edit that out.
Yeah, we're live now.
Oh.
Yeah, this isn't live to tape like the Colbert Show or who's the other one? Fallon.
Yeah.
We're not them. And I
Well-
won't have you sing in a car later on.
Do you have your halftime totals done? Because after you're done with your totals, I got a bone to pick with Mr. Buxton that we have to have a little discussion. So,
Can't wait.
yep.
Hit that mash button, folks. We'll argue like crazy.
All right, Joel, you're up.
Well, that's it for me, guys. 15. I was trying to get Buxton on a spit take there, but it didn't work. 15 tonight for Henry Meyer so far. 9 for Bennett Freed. 8 for Nick Williams. 2 from Dingle. 2 from Strittmatter. Central shoots 5 of 6 at the free throw line. I think that's a big stat. Hitting some shots or hitting their free throws at a great clip. And in fact, I've seen their free throw percentage climb throughout the entire year as a team, shooting 71% after the regular season. They went 7 of 11 from deep. On the other side, for the Tomah Timberwolves, Tom Hesse show. 10 points for him, and then 2 for Thornton, 2 for Brisky. And they went 0 for 1 at the free throw line and 0 for 3 from deep. Okay, you two.
Are you ready?
If you're, oh boy. Yep, I'm sure am.
Well,
two people that should have just married each other right here.
I was listening
You're
to
not the
Buxton's.
first person to say that.
That's true. I was listening to Buxton's pregame, and he mentioned something about the 1-3-1, and I thought I heard the word gimmick. And so I want to remind him that in 2014, we as a staff took the Central girls down to the state tournament running exclusively the 1-3-1 defense. Are you saying that was a gimmick that whole time?
In 2014 was rough. It was right around the same time that the boys started running it here.
It's true.
It was kind of. I would
learned
always
it
say
together.
it wasn't a new defensive scheme.
True.
It had been around, but it wasn't one that was as widely used as is it now. You know, when I take the 8th grade boys to tournaments, we see 1-3-1 zones all the time, and I don't know. I don't like them, and you know.
Well, you know how to counter it too, right?
Yeah, well,
So,
we
I
know how
mean,
to counter, but at the
that's-
same time, when you're using, like, when younger kids are running a 1-3-1 zone or any zone for that matter, they're losing out on reps to learn how to play man-to-man basketball.
Yeah, I agree
You know,
with that.
there are very few, and there are still some, but there are very few high school programs that run exclusively zone. You know, you can have the zone. Even Central's got a couple zones they run sporadically just to mix things up. But when teams come out and that's all they do, you know, I don't like it one bit. I mean, I love it facing. Like I said earlier, I love facing it because I know how to beat them. And, you know, Coach Fergut and Coach Neary and Coach Podesky know how to defeat his own, which is why Tomah had to get out of it 3 minutes into the game because they scored 4 straight consecutive possessions.
The one thing about the 1-3-1 is you have to have the right personnel to be able to run it. We were blessed in 2014 to have the personnel that, even though teams were trying to attack like they should against us, we had long enough arms and we had athletic enough girls that we could defend out of that. You can't just take that defense with a generic general team and say, okay, here's what we're going to do. You need the personnel to be able to run that, and that's why we did, and that's why we're successful in 2014. So, Mr. Buxton, I'll accept your explanation for that.
Does that count as an apology?
No.
Okay.
No,
Well, I don't think there was any necessary.
Because I'm not going to.
There was no issue of an apology. He just called you out because you called it a gimmick. That's all.
It is. Nowadays, it's a gimmick. It can't be your main defense. It's too easy to break down.
I had a girls team back at Hampton Dumont that ran the 1-3-1 a lot. Not exclusively, as you were saying, but they did run it a lot. And their top player was one of the fastest girls I've ever seen play, and I ended up calling her Flash for 4 years because she was just so quick in her hands, and she was such a good player. I really liked Cassie Miller. There's a shout-out for a person that's not watching, but one of my favorite kids of all time is Cassie Miller.
Well, and when we ran it back in 2014, we had Brittany Baldwin, who is, you know, one of the finest female athletes to ever walk Central. She was all-state in softball. She was all-conference. I don't know. I can't remember. She maybe all-state in basketball too. Was an all-conference volleyball. I mean, she was a phenomenal athlete. So when you have quickness, when you have athleticism on the top, it makes it a little bit easier. But like Nami said, you can't just, you know, throw 5 random people out there and hope it's going to work because it's not.
It's a scheme. It's a total scheme that has to work with the right personnel, and that's why you say the younger kids should be playing more man-to-man, which I totally understand that and get that.
Yeah, and coming into coaching, I was totally against all zones. And so I can remember when we went to state in 2014, and some of my old friends were watching us play, they're going, you're running a zone? Well, the reason we were running a zone is because we had the personnel to do it. We wouldn't have been running a zone if I didn't feel like we could run that. So, and it was effective for us. But, yeah, I think that's the key. I think, number one, I think, Josh, you're right on. They have to have the man-to-man principles down first before you can just go right to a zone.
36-14, our halftime score. Central leading Tomah. Was that game at halftime yet for Onalaska there?
Let me check.
Coach Buxton, let's give one more update before we start our coverage of the second half. By the way, we will be doing the ball game tomorrow night as long as Central wins this game. I'm not saying it's a foregone conclusion. They are up 22 at halftime, but you never know. Things can change. And so, but tomorrow night, as long as Central moves on, we will be doing tomorrow night's broadcast as well. And Nami talked about improvement to the Central Riverhawks YouTube channel. If you are a business and want to help us out by sponsoring these games, because they are not free, you certainly can do that and reach out to Mark Ambrose, and we will publicize the heck out of your business, much like we did for the girls. And moving forward, we're hoping to expand and do other things too. Certainly next fall, Nami and I have talked a little bit about baseball and softball. We're going to try and do something with those as well. So definitely be on the lookout for what we are attempting to do here for the Central Riverhawks YouTube channel.
When I got home from Menominee, I asked my family how I did, and one of my sons said, you said Kratt Lumber way too much. I thought, well, that's a plus because we wanted to make sure to shout out our sponsor. We would not have been at that game without Kratt Lumber.
Correct.
And so we're willing to do that for anybody who wants to step up and be a sponsor for us.
They didn't say your play-by-play was terrible, or I missed that Three Mendes guy?
That all came later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some of the harshest critics are going to be your own kids.
Oh, I hear it. Trust me.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Mine are too young to talk back yet, so I'm good with that. Down low, Brisky shot short, and then Thornton with a rebound, but that one ate up by Freed. Buxton, what'd you have for the Onalaska-Logan?
Halftime of the Onalaska-Logan game. Onalaska is up 35-27.
35, so it's an 8-point game. And Freed splitting defense. And the double down low, layup good, 38-14.
You know, with that only being an 8-point game, exactly what we talked about on our end in the pregame. If that game is close late in the fourth, or late in the second half, not fourth, sorry, Joel.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, late in the second half. If that game is close, the pressure all turns to Onalaska, the team that's supposed to win.
Yes, it does.
Logan playing with house money if they're close late in the game.
Always want to play with house money.
That's right.
Yeah, now you just make me sad and wish there was quarters. I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
No. Brindley on the baseline. Shot too strong. Thornton there on the rebound on the far side. That was Brindley's first shot attempt of the evening. Hesse, all the way inside. Ooh, yes!
Yep.
The official on this near side, I was wondering what they were going to call. That's why I didn't want to say anything, but Brindley reached in and got on top of the basketball, and so the official on this near side called it correctly because that happened before any contact with Freed. Jump ball, possession arrow goes to Central.
Excellent play by Brindley. He's such a phenomenal defender.
Williams trying to go all the way in on Pluger. Head fake, shot short, and he kind of spikes himself a little bit with the clapping of the hands. Kleifkin over to Pluger. Back to Hesse, who takes a screen, gets to the free throw line. Got shut off, though. Pass over to Thornton on the baseline, kick to the corner. Brisky, that ball gets through the fingertips. Pluger had to save it before it crosses half court because he had reestablished possession. Thornton all the way inside. High shot as Freed disrupt all of that. I think Bryant Thornton is a little frustrated over his night.
Well, he's frustrated because the Central defense is so active right now. I think all the Tomah players are getting frustrated. They can't get anything in the half court at all.
But if you remember, Thornton is the one that had 17, and Meyer, and there's a deflating look on Thornton after Meyer cans his fourth three-pointer of the evening.
Deflating look is right, and that's what we talked about. After you've beaten them twice, come out and jump on them early, they might start hanging their heads. I think we're starting to see that a little bit.
Yep, that confidence just starts to sway and almost just leaves your body at some point.
Right.
Because you're taking so many blows, and then you're trying to give the best defense you can. And Thornton, it's not like Thornton was playing off of Meyer on that three-point shot. He's right there. Hand was up, but Meyer just canned it in front of him.
When Henry's shooting the ball like this, he's unguardable.
Yeah.
We talked about Nick being unguardable earlier in the season. Henry's unguardable right now. If he can hit that outside shot like that, what do you do? Because you can't step up and guard him out there because he's going to go around you. He's too explosive to the basket.
Thornton went 0 for 2 at the free throw line as well, nearly unheard of in his season. Brindley, baseline pass, underneath, back out Freed. Three! Mendes for Bennett Freed.
Bennett also unguardable if he's going to hit like that.
Just incredible. I mean, this is the team that if they play like this, they are hard to beat. This is a team that can, if they're shooting the way they are, playing defense the way they are, this is a team that can not only make it to state, but to give themselves a chance to win the thing.
Kleifkin missed that three-pointer. Offensive rebound goes to Tomah.
Don't tell Fergus that.
No.
Travel by Thornton. And then he ended up heaving the shot afterwards. At 44-16, our score. 14:30 to play in the second half.
Josh, I'm trying to put myself in Brisky's shoes, Coach Brisky's shoes here. What do you do? What do you do if Bennett and Henry are shooting like that? What do you do?
Yeah, it's hard because you can't face guard two guys. Because if Henry and Bennett are taking on the play, what do you're leaving your other three on an island with all these guys who can score. You know, we know that Henry and Bennett and Nick get a majority of the shots, but you know when they're not shooting, Strittmatter can score if he wants to. Wilk can score when he wants to. It's hard. It's hard. You just gotta kind of grin and bear it. And
if you're Tomah there, they get 2 stops and give up 2 offensive rebounds and still end up giving up points.
Thornton, Kleifton, layup good.
There you go.
But yeah, and you don't, obviously you're not trying to relay that message to you don't want to have your players know and think that you think it's deflating too as a coach.
Right.
You know, you can't put that out there. As Freed launches a three-pointer, Meyer coming in, and Brisky, it's off of him or Thornton. As Frankie Wilk had taken that three-pointer, I believe. Wilk will be the inbounder. So now you're starting to see some of those substitutions too, because Strittmatter is in, Wilk as well as Dingle, and Meyer gets inside on a little curl.
Just incredible.
He's missed one shot.
How many does he have so far?
Let's see. I have him for 22.
22.
Oh, missed that.
Pluger.
2 or 3?
2.
Okay, thank you.
Mid-range jumper. $8 million a year in the NBA if you can keep it that net.
Right, yes, no kidding. Well, he asked me to do math, so I had to look down for a moment. Free.
Well, with Henry, you might need a calculator to figure out what he has.
I know. That's for sure.
Run out of fingers and toes.
Yes. Luckily, my phone has a calculator, you know. Put that out real quick. Dingle over the far side. Nobody was even guarding Dingle. Pluger had left him. Meyer dribbling on. Thornton layup short. Oh, Dingle jumped too early. Otherwise, he would have had another offensive rebound. Pluger.
Even on that miss, Henry's move to the basket was very impressive.
Thornton on the wing 3. Thought better of it. Meyer guarding Pluger. Step back. Got it. This time it was a three-pointer for Brady Pluger, who had 0 points in the first half, 5 so far in the second.
Yeah, I think does a nice job separating because he is a threat to get to the basket, so you have to honor that. Give him a step, and he'll step back and knock one down. He's not a bad shooter.
I think he's enjoying Boston getting a little breather.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like taking off your shoes and socks after a long day.
Freed down low. Hesse on him. Attacks. Back out. Dingle, no way. Oh, my! Well, it's that kind of night for the Central Riverhawks as Noah Dingle cans a three-pointer.
No hesitation in that shot either. He just grabbed it and shot it. I like it.
On the year, 0 for 4. It's his first three-pointer of the year. I take all the credit in the world. He heard me and got all excited. As Thornton this time, either Strittmatter or Wilk, take your pick.
I'm surprised he didn't point up to you after that three, Joel.
He should have.
Yeah.
I wanted a nod up here is what I wanted. Like, yes, sir. We were talking about yes, sir, earlier before the broadcast started. We're trying to get my little boy, Owen, to say that now. Trying to get him to say yes, sir. He already gives you a handshake. You might as well call everyone sir,
That's
too.
right, yep.
Hey, Brendan Cahill in. And another step back for Pluger. That was a 2. Brady Pluger getting it going here for the second half. This is exactly what Coach Buxton was talking about, getting others involved in this second half. Crossing Nardine also subbing in. Strittmatter too strong on his deep 2. Good rebound out of there by the senior Brock. We go over to Hesse, three-pointer. Lined it up, canned it. Tom Hesse, he's up to 15. 51-28. Nice little run here by Tomah. Back over to Cahill. This is all subs, in fact, for Central at the moment. All 5 starters sitting. Strittmatter inside, fouled, going up. Might be on Pluger. I think he was low and trying to reach while Strittmatter was going up. Strittmatter go to the foul line for 2. Everybody get comfortable while Peyton Strittmatter shoots a couple of free throws. On the year, 9 of 12. Not a lot of free throw attempts for him.
It's good to see some of these younger guys getting minutes. You know, with all the seniors that we're going to graduate this year, it's important that they're getting that game experience against a tough team, against a physical team, against a team that's going to push you around a little bit. That'll help them significantly next year as well.
And putting stuff
So
on.
we are still focused on this year.
We are, but it's putting stuff on film for Coach Fergutt to work on them with, too.
Right. Hesse, baseline shot, and it roll out. He's not even shooting that. I mean, he's 7 of 11 shooting is Tom Hesse. Leaving his mark on the program as a senior. Wish I had his career total numbers for Hesse. I don't know, was he a prominent player the last 3 years for Tomah? He near that 1,000-point mark or anything like maybe 800, somewhere around there?
Good shot.
That was a nice.
I'll be honest, Joel, I don't
Not
really
sure.
know the answer to that one.
I just wonder if he was a starter for the last couple before I got here or not. So Strittmatter hits that baseline shot.
Joel, you know we're homers.
Well, I realized that. Well, and I didn't hear from Coach Bresky, not to call him out, but as Dingle saves on the far side.
That kid's everywhere.
He is.
Love it.
Cahill back out.
Oh, get in there.
Nardine, too strong. That was actually a 2 anyway.
Oh, good hustle.
And they have
Omar.
a loose ball come back to him, and who gets called for the foul? And
Brisky gets teed up.
And it's Brisky that gets called for the foul, and then the technical foul as well. Jaden Brisky. He had said, I didn't say anything.
Josh, did you see what he did? I did not see it.
I think he slammed the ball down, reacted a little bit. I think he said something when he handed the ball back towards the ref. And that's tough. I mean, I understand your frustration. I understand that things have not gone how you wanted to tonight. The hardest part is keeping your composure.
Right.
And you got to keep your composure because, you know, he's a big body. They need him down in the block. And now he's sitting on the bench, and that's tough. That's tough.
Williams goes 1 of 2 and then subs out Antoine Hardy checking in for Central. So they're 5 on the floor right now as Krause, Nardine, Strittmatter, Cahill, Hardy, and Dingle. Looks like some substitutions as well for Tomah.
And it would not surprise me. About 8:40 left in the game, in about 2 minutes, maybe less. We'll see a couple of these starters probably back in for another minute or two.
Nice dribble drive by Hardy, but he missed. Back out. Dingle
You
a
gotta be
second.
kidding me. Nope.
Oh, no, yeah, that was off of his hand. Off right when he launched it. Foul called. Strittmatter called on the foul. Fouls right now even at 3-3. 55-28 our score. 8:31 is to play. Strittmatter out and Wilk back in. But once again, one of those role players that Central is utilizing this evening.
I know I see the game through a different shade of lens, but I think the officials have done a good job tonight. I know they've teed Tomah up twice. I haven't seen anything that I think is egregious, so I think they've done a good job.
I agree.
I think Tomah's frustrated mainly because of Central's defense, to be honest with you.
Yeah, agreed. As Pierce has subbed in as well. Wilk trying to dive for the basketball and out of bounds. Off of him and stays with Tomah. I agree. Officiating tonight has been stellar.
We don't ever rip on the officials, but sometimes
We don't?
Sometimes we say no comment.
It's true.
We haven't had any of those tonight.
We had a girls' basketball game about a week ago that was
no comments.
No comments.
They've done a nice job of letting things go, making those calls that are necessary.
Right.
But at the same time, let the kids play. I mean, it is the playoffs. We're 20-plus games into the season. We don't need, a lot of ticky-tack stuff. No comments like we had last week.
Oh, nice cut to the basket by Cahill. Krause Nardine found him, but then Cahill shorted the shot. Boy, I'd love to have a head of hair like Cahill.
Like Cahill. Holy
Yeah,
cow.
I like his hair.
How about, what's this kid? Kleifkin.
Kleifkin, yeah,
Tomah.
Kleifkin with
My
a three-pointer.
God, look at that salad. Holy cow. That's a spring mix with some arugula in there.
Yeah, I can't
love
comment on it. I do like it. I don't know how you put it together. How much work he has to put in daily.
Don't ask me. I got a barren wasteland
Right,
on
I
the
know.
top of my head.
I'm getting that way. Inbounding be Thornton. See, we avoided all the meatloaf talk and started talking about hair and liquid earlier.
About male pattern baldness.
Yes.
That's what we like to hear.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
This game brought to you by Just for Men. Head on out. Get you a box. Pluger for 3. As we'll get back to
He's
action.
having a nice second half.
He
Yeah,
really
he
is. I'm so glad, too, because, again, another senior, you don't want to go out 0-for. And it's not like he shot that much in the first half. He only had 2 field goal attempts. And he's come out here nicely, and he's actually at double figures now with 10. So 10 in the second half for Pluger. All jokes aside, that is a nice second half for Brady Pluger. Good to see. You just don't want to senior going out like what he had played in the first half. And lack of opportunities. You know, Central was just commanding with the basketball in the first half. Cahill lost it, stolen away by Gerke. 55-31, our score.
Ooh.
And Thornton, that pass underneath, I don't know if that was going to hit the backboard, but Thornton was never going to be able to manufacture that pass. Look at, this is more animation from Coach Ferguson than I have seen all year.
Working hard with these young guys.
Yes, he is. As Wilk steps back three-pointer, Frankie Wilk on the step back three.
And that's what you notice about, you know, the quality of programs around the state. Central's up 27 with 5+ minutes left. And what is Coach Ferguson harping on? Fundamentals, fundamentals, fundamentals. Make sure your passes are good. Make sure your cuts are crisp. Get open. Okay, and that never relents. And that's why Central is who we are.
I think Frankie Wilk is somebody that Coach Ferguson's got to be excited about for the future here. Can really come in, shoot the ball real well. Also, a little bit of underrated defender. I thought he's done a good job on the defensive end, which obviously is a necessity in Coach Ferguson's program.
Woo!
Holy cow.
Man, Brady Pluger, he hits another one. I might have to give him one. 58-34 as he hits another three-pointer. Let's see, Axness had subbed in. Pangier, that's the other one. Another sophomore. You're asking about the sophomore group. Derek's another one.
Another one to be excited about, I think.
Yep.
There's some talent coming. We've got a nice freshman group, nice sophomore group. Group of 8th graders coming up next year, very good players.
Got to call Axness trying to reach back in as Thornton stole it from Dane.
Josh, we have viewers texting me asking for a Logan update.
Oh, give me a second. Give me a second.
Well, thank you for keeping with us, as I know that game is being streamed as well. So you're probably here listening because of Nami and Josh, so we appreciate that wholeheartedly.
Give me a second, Nami G.
I got you.
Leifton over to Pluger. More head fakes. Step back again. No, this time can't hit it. Rebound. Out of bounds off of Hardy.
Onalaska is up 47-34 with 13 minutes left in the game.
So it's a 13-point game.
13-point game. They've extended a little bit.
Yes, they have.
Giving them a little more than I thought they would give them.
Logan's still fighting.
Yep.
A lot of time left. Okay, like you said, Nami, you know, Coach Cole's not going to take his starters out with a 13-point lead.
Right.
They're going to play every minute they have to play to get that W tonight.
Thought Hardy got that off of Gerke's left knee. In case you're wondering about that too, Logan finished the year at 11-14. They went 4-8 in the Mississippi Valley, where Onalaska, of course, was the co-champions along with the Central Riverhawks team, both going 11-1. 18-5 were the Onalaska Hilltoppers in the regular season. They're 19-5 for the Central Riverhawks, winning their 10th straight over Aquinas last week. Team started rolling after those 3 losses in a row in mid-January.
You know, going back to that Onalaska game, the one thing I remember about Logan, they can shoot the long ball. And I'm guessing that that's what's keeping them in the game right now. They have a couple guys, Eli Stovall and was it the Cruz?
Yes, Cruz.
Yep.
Cruz. Those guys can shoot the ball.
He hit 3 here.
I remember that, yep.
As Thornton hits a 3-pointer in the far corner. Another senior for Tomah, as they have Pluger and Thornton, Hesse, Brock. Those are their seniors. So it's actually a relatively small group, but they don't have the deepest bench either for Tomah. So I don't know if some of those because their roster's few short of what Central is. Far side to Wilk, driving in. Turnaround jumper on the baseline. Got it, and a foul on Gerke.
How did he have the angle there? It looked like he was behind the backboard when he turned. I was just going to say he got caught too far underneath, but apparently not.
He's athletic.
Just where he wanted him.
Yeah.
Second foul on Gerke. The 4th on Tomah. 6 fouls on Central. And Wilkes at the free throw line. Wilk, the old-fashioned, goes through, and he'll sub out.
You know, with Boston and Nick being seniors, I'm going to have to start looking for a new favorite player Frankie Wilk making his presence known.
True.
Although with Henry and Peyton, that's going to be a hard.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got a couple other guys. Kleifkin, no good. Axness try to pass it off. Cahill up ahead to Hardy. And what a nice pass over to Krause-Nardine, who end up missing, though. Thornton comes out with the rebound. Boy, it's a scrum on the floor right now. These two teams getting after it with the bench players for Central playing hard. And so are some of those starters that are still out for Tomah.
Yeah, that's good. Take advantage of your minutes. If you're not getting as much, off the bench as you want, you had better work hard on the floor.
Right, Brendan Cahill.
Make it difficult for them to take you out.
He had the foul and a 1-on-1 chance for Thornton.
I know we talked about a little bit about, the young kids for Central, but I tell you what, there's a couple kids coming up from Tomah. Be freshmen next year. Little brothers of current players. There's another Brisky kid coming at them. Quinn Gerke is coming up. They are incredibly good. So watch out for Tomah in the next couple of years. They're going to have some very strong teams.
Well, and I know we haven't spoke a ton about the Timberwolves, but how about their season? They go 5-7 in the MVC. They won 4 out of their final 6 to get to this spot here tonight.
Sweeping Aquinas. That's the other one I was thinking about. And they defeated Hayward the other night to get to here in the playoffs. So
anytime you can win a playoff game. That's even if the year hasn't gone great or up to your expectations, when you win a playoff game, that gives your kids confidence. That's another week of practice or another few days of practice, another, chance to get reps with your friends, your brothers, and I would take that as a coach.
And something to excite the younger guys for the upcoming years. Something to build off of if you're Coach Brisky.
And they won by 15, and really I don't think they were challenged all that much throughout the game. They pretty much had a lead from start to finish over Hayward.
Yeah, so Hayward had a little bit of a tough year, so it's good that Tomah came up and took care of business because that's what everybody expected, and that's what happened. Oh,
we got more substitutions.
So we're clearing the bench.
Boy, there might be a couple I don't even have on my roster.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
It's like Marchand and Jalen Calvert.
Okay, they
Caden
are.
Appelon's coming in too.
Appelon, yep.
Okay, I think everybody but Marchand is on my list. I have not added him. He got moved up later in the year. Plus, they don't fit on my game statistics, so he's got too many now. He's over by 2. It's Coach Fergus. A nice round of applause for especially Brendan Cahill, senior. Last opportunity for him to play here on this court. Omario. Yep, same. So nice round of applause by the fans.
Those guys gave it their everything, too. It didn't matter to them that it was a 24-point game, 25-point game. They were out there playing like it was 0-0, which is what you expect.
Doing the same thing for Coach Brisky and company, getting those seniors off the floor. As Tomah, stood up, they gave their nice senior group a good standing ovation. Over on the other side, yes, they gave Thornton, who was coming out. I know there was some emotion in his face. Well, a lot of times, of course, as a senior, you look at it and go, well, there might be a couple here and there that go off to play, but a lot of times, once you come off the court your final time your senior year, you're done wearing a jersey, unless you want to go play like intramurals or something. Oh, who was that? Hardy? Was that Hardy?
The 5-star. Love it.
Antoine Hardy with a 3-pointer. 64-39. He only got a minute left. And a 3-pointer on the other side for Miles.
Yeah, Joel, nothing I hated more when I was coaching than when we lost our final game of the season and had to go in the locker room afterwards and, look at the seniors in the eyes and having them realize that it's all coming to an end. That's tough.
Marchand getting all the way inside.
I hated that. But it eventually ends for everybody at some time.
Yeah, and even as a broadcaster, I have to admit that I took some defeats very, very hard for the few years that especially for 4 years covering the same schools and had to watch, as I mentioned earlier, Hampton-Dumont, they made district finals, which is the game prior to state, 3 straight years. They came away 0-3.
You become invested.
Yep. So
hopefully we don't have to worry about it with the boys here for a while.
Well, you know what? I'm with you guys for tomorrow night, and then I have to get ready for another tournament. I have other obligations. Oh, and nice stuff there by Axness.
Can I give one quick shout out before we're out of here tonight?
Of course.
After 24 years, and Nami, you know him, one of our custodians now, tonight is his last night of work. So if anybody sees him, Niall's a fantastic guy who's helped us out here at Central. Congratulations on your retirement tonight.
Great guy. We have a great custodial staff. I see Ron Bagneski sitting right behind us. We're blessed with a great custodial staff here at Central.
And that's it, 65-42, our final as the Central Riverhawks advance. They were in their regional final, and what do you have, 58-42 right now on Alaska leading.
Pulling away a little bit here.
They are, yep, in the second half. I'll have totals for you coming up here in just a minute or two. You guys can take over.
Well,
I'll see if I can get a word in edgewise afterwards.
Yeah, let's talk about it a little bit. Central did exactly what we talked about in the pregame.
Yeah.
We mentioned there were about 3 or 4 things that we mentioned. The stars have to shine. They did that early and often. They need to come out early, jump on this team quickly. They did that. I think they were up, 15, 16 points right away to start the game and never really looked back. Those were the things that we talked about. There were a couple things I saw from this Riverhawk team early on that I really like seeing, and one of them was the defensive intensity that this team showed right from the start all the way to the finish. Even in a 23-point game, they were out there flying around on the floor. That's something that's going to serve them well as they move on here in the tournament, and something they're most definitely going to need tomorrow night.
And that's a hallmark of this team, and it always has been. That defensive end, they play hard, and they're active. You know, when I tell youth players, you know, who do you want to emulate defensively? Watch Nick Williams.
Yeah, really.
Watch Bennett Feed, because they are never not moving. You know, when we watch someone like Nick, his feet are bouncing. He is ready to move at all times. He is in the gaps. He is, you know, challenging shots. He's doing all that stuff. He does it so well. And defensively, you know, we lock teams down. You know, we've got one for sure lockdown defender in Boston Brindley, and you have a bunch of other guys who know how to play well as well. And it's hard for teams to match up with that. And as we saw tonight, it is incredibly frustrating offensively when Boston Brindley is staring you in the face, because you know, unless something extraordinary happens, you're not getting much.
And that's the one thing with having Boston. Sometimes we overlook the other guys, their defensive abilities. Nick Williams is an excellent defender.
Oh, yes.
Bennett Freed is an excellent defender. Tyler Young, playing down on the post, usually giving up size, does an excellent job down in the low post. All these guys, and you mentioned it, Coach, it's a staple of this program. It's something that Coach Fergut talks to them about when they're in first grade all the way up until they're in 12th grade. It's a staple of this program, and that's why they've been so successful. They win it on the defensive end. They can do awesome things on the offensive end. They're very good, talented that way too. But really, the staple of this program is the defensive end. I thought they showed that tonight.
Yeah, and what does it tell you about a kid like Pluger, who, against a very good defensive team, came out and had a phenomenal half.
Right.
Hitting shots left and right, and that is the talent that we have in this part of the state. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, it really is. And Pluger, you talked about him, 13 points. We'll finish with Tomah. 13 and 15 for Hesse. Those are the two that made the double figures. 1 of 5 at the free throw line, 6 of 14 from downtown tonight for the Timberwolves, and 3 out of 4 for Pluger, all in that second half. For the Central Riverhawks, they get 22 from Henry Meyer, who probably could have went off for 40, honestly, if he would have got the minutes tonight the way he was shooting the ball. Bennett Freed, 14. Nick Williams, 9. Stripmotter was 6. Wilk with 6. 5 from Dingle. 3 from Hardy. It all adds up to 65. I did it twice. 9 of 11 at the free throw line tonight. How about that? 9 of 11 for Central at the free throw line, and they hit 12 three-pointers, shooting 20 of them. So overall, I mean, the execution, offense and defense, it's both there. Central wins their 11th straight. I mean, this team is absolutely rolling.
Absolutely, and you know, we've been kind of trying very hard not to talk about facing on Alaska in the playoffs. We can talk about it now. It's going to happen. What atmosphere that's going to be tomorrow night. I'm excited that we're able to call it, and we hope everybody tunes in to our broadcast. Joel will give you the neutral side of it, and I'll give you the central. Well, Joel with a kind of a neutral side of it.
Listen, we're in the playoff time. My homer hat usually comes on pretty strong once we get into the postseason.
I love that you say you're neutral, because people have to come to a game with you sometime, because they're going to realize that there's not much neutral about you. You do a good job on the broadcast being neutral, but we know that you're central through and through. But how about what an atmosphere that's going to be? That's going to be an absolute circus up there tomorrow night. I'm thinking it's going to be a full house.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of media, a lot of attention on this side of the state for basketball, and rightly so in that game. And, this is something we've seen the last 10 or 15 years. It comes down to Central and Alaska in this sectional. I understand Medford's the 1 seed and still on the other side, but I honestly believe, I'll just put this out there, I honestly believe the winner of tomorrow night's game is going to be the one that comes out of this sectional.
I think the winner of tomorrow night's game could potentially be the one to make all the way to state.
That's what I mean.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. Okay. Yeah, even off the bottom half of the bracket that we had talked about earlier and alluded to.
And we know Onalaska is very good. If Onalaska were to win, I think they're going to go to state. Yes. And both Central and Onalaska, if they get to state, I think can compete for a state title. I really do.
Well,
I think
Buxton, you just talked about that a little while ago, too, with the fact that the both teams, if they can play up to their potential, which we saw tonight, Central really did play up to their potential. Onalaska maybe thinking a little ahead of schedule maybe and overlooking Logan, especially in that first half. I know you're trying to search for a couple other scores there, Josh, before we get off the air tonight, which I appreciate as well. What'd you find?
Well, at halftime, and this was about, 25, 30 minutes ago, Medford was up 15 on Menominee. So, again, that was a tight game. Menominee coming in at 10 and 15 on the year. Medford 20 and 4. Number 1 versus number 8, 15 points. Yes, in number it's decent, but, in the flow of a game, that can evaporate very, very quickly.
Right.
I know Medford's the number 1 seed. I might eat my words on this, but I think the real 1 and 2 seeds are playing tomorrow night.
Well, as I always allude to about play, and I have on the broadcast, call me an Iowa homer, fine. But the truth is that down in Iowa, they're actually playing their girls basketball state tournament right now, and they have their polls, and they try to get their top 8 to state and give them the best run possible. That's very difficult to do when you have so much talent and so many good teams right here in the same area. You can't really separate Onalaska and Central as far as a section, because where the heck do you send them? Right. I mean, that's almost impossible for the WIAA to do, and I think that would be very difficult and such a challenge to try and figure out, well, okay, these two teams are probably good enough to make it that far, but we have to split them up. I just don't see how you could do it with them being almost in your backyard. It's just so difficult to try and do that, to separate the two. So I understand why, the two teams are end up playing in the section as opposed to, maybe down at state or even the section final. Instead of the third round.
Yeah, and that's all over the state too. You look at some of those other top teams in Division II, Wisconsin Lutheran and Pewaukee are in the same section.
Right.
So whoever wins those two, that game usually comes out, and you'd love to see a 4-team tournament with Central Onalaska, Pewaukee, Wisconsin Lutheran, the Big Four, whatever it is. But obviously regional issues come into play. And
well, then you're talking about a bus trip for 2.5 hours, 3 hours just to play a basketball game because you don't want them to face at state, or you want other teams to face each other at state. So it's a kind of a gamble one way or the other, but either way, we will get off our subject and move on. 65-42, that's what Central did tonight over at Tomah. Congratulations to the Tomah Timberwolves on your season. They finish off with double-digit wins. They were 10 and 16 on the year for Jeff Brisky's team. And again, tomorrow night we will be broadcasting. I know for a fact that Nami and I will be there. We hope that you will join us too on the broadcast here on the Central Riverhawks channel. For Nami George, Josh Buxton, I'm Joel McCall. 65-42. Thank you so much, Central Riverhawks. Moving on here on the Central